at ancient Rome. We're going to be doing a little reading on ancient Rome. Yes, what's your question? Well, I was very, very busy, and I thought that I would get to it, but I just didn't have the time, and I didn't really, I just didn't have, the mindset of delving into that. So, there's no telling what's going to happen. There's no telling when the next meeting's, how long, how many meetings this thing is going to be. So it all depends on how I'm feeling, for those certain days, okay? And who knows? This may be the last meeting, and I may decide to, change my mind and not, decide to, do this anymore. So, who knows? But just plan on there being a meeting next week on December 19th. This is going to be every 2 weeks, but since who wants to come here on December 26th during your Christmas vacation? So next week is going to be a meeting. Next year in January, on the 2nd of January, we're going to be having another meeting. We're going to potentially get into everything. Okay? So that's what's, going to be happening. So that's, 3 weeks from now. That is 3 weeks from now to my count. From today, we're going to be meeting again. Okay? So, we're going to be reading about Rome, ancient Rome. I'm going to be kind of, reading it out loud, just kind of going through it. We may talk about it, but, I would plan on that as well. So, then we're going to be, after we see that, then we're going to begin watching a documentary on how Rome forged as an empire, is what it is called. This is a documentary that we'll not be seeing the whole thing this time because it is such a huge, drawn-out, long documentary that we're going to be seeing it in chunks. So one chunk will be this time, and then the other chunk will be the next time, and then so on and so forth. That's something that we will be doing as we go through the meetings. Okay? Or I might just ask you to see the rest on your own, but, we'll see what happens. So, the reading to begin with, and then getting into, this documentary. So, it talks about all of the leaders and rulers of Rome and their rule and how they impacted and shaped Rome and their accomplishments and their innovations and everything like that, that they did, that, their legacy, really. Okay? And then that's just going to kind of be it for today. So at around 12:05, 12:10 should probably be when this meeting will stop. And then what's going to be happening is my mentor will then go outside, do, some, outdoor playing and stuff like that with the snow. And then I will have my lunch and then we'll continue on with the day and then, with the afternoon. I'm going to be leaving this up here so that you can, see it. Okay, again. So, any questions concerning this, what, what's going on today? Okay. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Now, yes. Well, again, we'll have to see. I can't guarantee it necessarily. What we're going to be doing. So this is kind of left out into the open. Because when I make plans, don't know if those plans will be fulfilled. Because it's kind of, I don't want to, lose sleep over that obligation. Okay? So without further ado, everybody, I just want to get started. Okay? What I'm going to actually do is, I've done this before and I've tried this before and I know what I am comfortable with. So this is going to have to be moved to another part of the room. So, now, alright. So, yeah. We might not cover, the whole history of Rome, just aspects of it. Okay. So I'm going to grab my trusty chair here, and we're going to begin. We're going to begin. I just have to find the page that we're going to be, or the pages that we're going to be looking at here. So, alright. So I'm just going to find it here for you. It's, 9. So that would be like page 9. Go to page 9 and moving into the Roman Empire. So yeah. So the pages will be page 25 and page 26. So pages 25 and 26. Alright, so is everybody getting there? Is everybody getting there? Alright. Page 25. So, just looking at kind of the, the first bit of it. So so it says Greek city-states. So it talked about the, Athenian Empire, now it's moving on. So Greek city-states continue to function until in the 100s BCE. So remember that, BCE is kind of the old, or will they use when it's opposite. So as the years progressed and got further along, the numbers decreased, and now it's the opposite. So it's so long ago that it's not it is confusing. So city states kind of a big government area. Greek city-states continued to function, to work militarily, the government, socially. In the 100s BCE, they were crushed by a new Mediterranean powerhouse. So the Roman Empire began as a city-state in the middle of the Italian peninsula. So it was, in the Mediterranean, kind of, around Greece and, somewhere around where Michelle kind of, her area is a colony. It grew steadily through military aggression. So, conquering other areas, other empires, fighting them and knocking them out and, controlling. So, aggression with its, capability and its strength. And also, we talked about this on the last time, the real secret for the Roman Empire was the fact that, they did it because, the Roman Empire became so great because it was afraid of the others around it taking over. Okay, I just thought that I'd turn that on just because I realized that wasn't on. Okay. Alright, so, let's see here. So Rome's conquest of the Mediterranean region made it an empire. So, the emperor is the ruler of the empire. So although the Romans still thought of their country as a republic is a governmental system in which the people rule through representatives. So it's not necessarily one dictator, but it's, a group. This is one of those advancements, is a governmental advancement. We have, democracy. We have the different three branches of government, the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branch of government. So, it was a republic, and then it was the empire. And actually, I just want to kind of draw just a little model of kind of, the mountain of the Roman Empire. So this is what it would look like. I just want to circle it for you. So, when you're talking about English and you're talking about a story, you're talking about, the elements of plot. So this right here would be the exposition. The exposition would start out by introducing the characters and the setting and what's going on in the story and the whole setup and, what's to come and everything. You start walking up the mountain, start hiking up the mountain, and you're rising, you are going, ascending, going up, so that's the rising action. As you're getting towards that high point, from the Republic and kind of the build-up of everything. Once you get to the top, yay, it's the highest point, I reached the top, how exciting, the climax. Which is that big, most exciting, probably the most important part of any story, so that's kind of, toward the middle and the end. So, the rising action by far is the biggest part of any story. Then the falling action, so all the economic and social, political issues of Rome fell to the bottom, kerplunk. barbarians took it over, collapsed. So that's kind of just a little comparison I want to make there. So yes. So now looking at the little caption. So at its largest, the Roman Empire extended over the entire Mediterranean region and large parts of the Middle East and Europe. So it's showing where the Roman Empire ruled, what areas of Europe did it, conquer, so, it shows you by, so the Italian peninsula, purple, green is the overseas expansion during the Punic Wars, expansion during the final years of the Republic, creation of the Roman Empire. So by far the biggest section is the yellow. So moving on to page 26. So, Romans had founded the Republic after dethroning their king in 509 BCE. They resolved to govern the Roman Republic according to laws. Around 450 BCE, to ensure the rights of all citizens in the courts, the Romans complied their first set of written laws, the 12 Tables. So they dethroned their king, they kind of overthrew their king in 509. And then, based off of the kind of shared, the representative democratic laws, they would rule a different way. All the citizens had equal liberties and rights in the court. And then, just like our Constitution, the Romans went the 12 Tables, or the 12 commands. God's 10 Commandments. Rome's republican system had three main parts, just like we have three main parts. The popular assemblies, magistrates, and the Senate. So now it's talking about that whole system and that whole setup. So in assemblies, male citizens voted on the laws and elected magistrates to carry out the laws. Male citizens. I don't know if female citizens at the time were really looked up towards as much. That's just, kind of how a lot of history went along. So, voted on the law. Okay. Sometimes I say things when I change my mind to what I do. Like I just don't want to do certain things. Oh yeah, that does look good. Maybe try that. I'm just starting to question a couple of things right now, whether we want to just do it this way, or we'll get back to, doing the official Clovis thing. So I'm seeing here. Alright. In assemblies, male citizens voted on laws and elected magistrates to carry out the laws. They voted on them, and magistrates carry out the laws. And they were the magistrates were the first selected members of the Senate. So selected members of the Senate who wrote the legislation and handled the foreign affairs, so the foreign policy. So you have the assemblies, and then it goes to the magistrates, and then it goes back to the Senate. Later the Senate, growing much more powerful, severed its link with the magistrates and assemblies. However, in later years, the Senate surrendered much of its authority to the emperor. So, the emperor is the big ruler and the big dictator, so there's more of that action going on. For much of the late Republican period, Rome was an empire. The military deeply influenced Roman society. So all militarily based. All citizens were expected to serve as soldiers. The state's leaders came largely from the military. Rome's main foreign policy was to expand its borders through conquest. So, big on military, expanding, becoming more great and mighty and powerful. Always expanding more, always working, never settling. So Rome was continually at war. Major conflicts included the three Punic Wars, beginning in 264 BCE and ended in 146 BCE, with the complete destruction of the North African city of Carthage. This was followed by wars of expansion in Anatolia, Syria, Gaul, France, which that, is how it meant, how it was meant in the olden days, way back then, and Britain, by battles along the frontier with Germany's peoples and by several slave revolts and civil wars. One civil war ended when a rebellious Julius Caesar defeated Pompey the Great. Caesar then made himself sole ruler of Rome. After Caesar's assassinations in 44 BCE, his great-nephew Octavian stepped into the power vacuum. So now it's talking about how it was at war. So then, it kind of talks about that a little bit. So in 27 BCE, Octavian became the first official emperor. He assumed the title Augustus, which means majestic. Under Augustus and the next 15 or so emperors, the Mediterranean region enjoyed a time of relative calm known as the Pax Romana, or Roman peace. So it's kind of giving a background of, some of the things that we're going to be getting into the documentary today. So, or Roman peace. So the Romans, which were great road builders, remember the quote, all roads lead to Rome, extended their network of roads into conquered territories. This made the movement of troops to Roman colonies easier. So it's talking about why they would build roads. It also encouraged the trade, so I give you something, you give me something, and the diffusion of Roman culture and ideas throughout the empire. Rome also extended citizenship rights to conquered peoples, which helped integrate them into Roman society and government. So, the road, Roman troops, and the colonies, trade, and the diffusion of the culture and ideas of Rome as well. So it's talking about Augustus. So now we're moving on. So tranquil times ended in the late 100 CE. when the empire was battered by periods of civil war and military rebellion. A series of short-lived emperors added to the instability. In the late 200s, Emperor Diocletian split the empire into eastern and western halves. The Roman peace was shattered for good in the 300s, when migrating German peoples crossed the frontier and began to take over Roman lands. In 476, these peoples brought the Western Roman Empire to an end. So that was that. That was just kind of just some background. I just want to see about the time here real quick. Okay, 11:24. Okay. So now, we're going to be getting things set up. Maybe we're going to be doing it in the living room because I don't know about you, but I'm just kind of getting a little tired of being in here. So that's why we're going to be moving into the living room. Okay. So I'm going to be right back. I'm just going to put this back and we'll continue. Can't move. It goes sliding on that cultivating tool. One. You don't really know it. Like, why would you say? Okay. I'm just gonna now move this out of the way, move it over here. So I think that whenever I'm feeling like talking about a section, reading a section, we might have another meeting. So, who knows? We'll just see what happens. Okay, now, we're going to be going into the living room and we're going to be seeing that thing, although I don't know if we're going to be having the the computer and this thing film necessarily. I think that yeah, we'll do it. So, here's what's gonna happen. This will not be filmed, okay? I will shut the camera off, and I will turn the live chat off, okay? So, for those, I want you to see it on your own, and the rest of you will just go in the living room and see it, okay? So that is what's going to happen. Thank you really, really much for joining me. And I'll see you for another time. Thanks.